fire chicken. Hi, and welcome back to Wild and Wheels. For me, it's the same day. For you, it's next week. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on this fiberglass. The first thing I want to do, let's get this bezels, let's get these headlights out of here. Let's get this grab bar off. Let's get the ignition switch and the light switch, the headlight switch pulled out of here. And then we're going to start sanding. Make a mess in the shop we just cleaned. That's fine. I wonder if these still work. That'd be cool if they did. I wonder if I can find headlights like this. Probably not. Definitely not going to be reusing these. It's in pretty good shape for the shape that it's in. Let's start sanding. Everybody loves sanding. We're just gonna sit down here for a minute and we're gonna talk fiberglass. Okay. A lot of people get real nervous when it comes to fiberglass repairs. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, it's fiberglass, it's broken, it's junk, it's garbage, you gotta throw it away. No. Fiberglass is so easy to fix. This guy right over here, we got a big old hole poked right into the side of it. We got some deep gouges and scratches. We got squirrel marks, cracks, spider cracks, webs, all over the place. This is all easy to fix. This is super easy to fix. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to finish breaking this out. And we're just going to make that a hole. And then we're going to patch it. and it's going to be like it was never there. All these deep gouges, those are going to be deleted. All these little squirrel marks, spider, they're all going to be deleted too. The other thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be filling in every single hole that's on this, even all of these mounting holes across the back here. And the reason for that is fiberglass, it's flexible. It's got a lot of flex, it's got a lot of give to it, and that's what's nice about fiberglass. But the thing is, when I go to put this back together, especially with the fenders, fender seat, whatever, the other fiberglass piece that's on here, that's in really, really rough shape. And we're going to be bringing that and fixing that and putting it back to as close to factory and also looking good and as strong as humanly possible. And when we go to mount that back onto the frame, there's like a 99.3% chance that none of the bolt holes are going to match up. And then we're going to be drilling new holes, because right now the thing's just kind of sitting on the frame like this and the bolt holes match up. But when we fix it and make everything square and straight and correct and put it back on there, the bolt holes aren't going to line up. So then we're going to be drilling new bolt holes anyway. Well, the problem with that is you're going to end up drilling a bolt hole right next to an old bolt hole, and now you have basically no fiberglass that's holding it together, and in 2 weeks it's just going to blow through, and now you got an elongated bolt hole, and now the thing's just kind of shifting around, and then it starts cracking and it gets worse. So delete all the bolt holes, and that's kind of the cool thing you can do with fiberglass. You can delete bolt holes. You can be like, oh, I don't need you here anymore. Oh, look, hole's gone. And then that way, when we put it back together, we'll be able to set it, get it adjusted, square, make sure the tires, I don't know if you can notice, I don't know if you can see in the camera right now, but those two holes in the back of the fender, maybe if I move this, you might be able to see back there. There's a hole on the right side, and there's a smaller one on the left side. Those are where the tire rubbed through. And that kind of just tells me that maybe the fender wasn't, bolted in the, shift it back a half an inch to give you a little tire clearance, right? So that's kind of indicative of, well, it probably wasn't bolted in quite the exact right spot. Maybe the axle needs to be shifted forward, an inch. I don't know, but that's something that we're going to get fixed on that. We're going to fix both of those holes, and then we're going to mount it on there correctly so the tire's not rubbing. And when we go to do that, we're going to need new bolt holes. And then we're going to need new bolt holes in this, because now that's shifted on the frame a half an inch. So this isn't going to sit. You see what I'm saying? So we're filling in all the bolt holes. Now, like these guys up here, maybe not, because that's where that little guard bumper tube thing kind of bolts into. But there's a good chance that once we've shifted all that, those bolt holes are going to be off too. So we're probably just going to fill in every single bolt hole. It'll be a lot easier in the future once we get that mounted onto the frame and we get that clamped in there, and then I can come through with a Sharpie and mark all the holes that are in the frame into the fiberglass, pull it off, drill everything, set it back on there, and bolt it down. Easy peasy. Now, when it comes to fiberglassing, and you're thinking, how on earth? And I'm just going to do we're going to talk about it for a minute, and then we're going to sand, and then we'll actually get into actually doing it. But the first thing that you want to do, if you look in here real close, you can still see that there's the old fiberglass fibers are still in there. Leave those. That's actually good. That's going to help tie the new fiberglass into the old fiberglass. Basically, this is what we're simple. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to rip this little piece of fiberglass out, break it off from the inside. So there's just a complete hole. There's not a piece of fiberglass. I'm not going to try to push that back out. No, we're just delete it. It's easier. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take new fiberglass, and I'm going to cut a piece of fiberglass that's going to fit inside of the hole. Not about the same size, but kind of, no, it needs to fit inside of the hole. And then we're going to use some aluminum tape, and we're going to stick some aluminum tape on the back side of this. So I can set that. So what I'll do, then we'll take a little paintbrush, and I need to, sorry, I'm jumping around 45 places, but I'm going to need to cut a small piece that fits just inside this hole. It's kind of an oval shape, so I'm going to need to make kind of an oval shape. And I'm going to need to make like 8 of those, all the same size. 8 little pieces, and we're going to set them right here, and then we're going to put that aluminum tape back behind, and then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to put some resin. I'm going to take one piece, I'm going to stick it in there, and I'm going to put resin on it. And then I'm going to take another piece and stick it on there and put more resin on it, and take another piece and stick it on there and put more resin on it. And we're going to keep going until we fill this entire thing up. And that's why I said we might need 7 or 8 pieces. I don't know, we might need 4 pieces. I don't know how thick, you got to keep going. And then the last one that you're going to want to do, you're going to want to put a bigger piece that's going to kind of cover the entire area. And then you're going to resin over that. Then you just let it sit. Now you have to remember, you only got about 20 minutes to work. So this patch right here, and that's from the time you put the hardener in there and you start mixing, right now, boom, check your watch, you got 20 minutes. That, so you need to have all your parts, you need to have all the little pieces cut out and sitting right there waiting for you. You need to have your brushes ready, you need to have your gloves on, you need to be ready to rock and roll. Because as soon as you get that mixed, it's go time. Get over here, dab it, put a little piece in, go, and just keep going until you're done. Then you get that last piece on there, brush it over, done. Take that, toss it in the trash. It's, wait 20 minutes from the time you started mixing the resin, and then that'll be hard. It'll be done. Then you can come by and sand it. Then you'll come by and you'll sand over that and smooth that. Suddenly it just disappeared. Now all you got to do is just paint it. And it's the same kind of thing with all the holes. So I'm going to be cutting small, little, teeny tiny pieces. One of the other things that you can do, and it's something that you can do with like liquid nails. And a lot of people do this. You can take a sawdust and mix it with liquid nails, and then you can use that as a putty to fill in gouges or chunks in a piece of wood. And then once it dries, you can come back and sand it, and then you can't even tell that you filled that in. Same kind of concept. You're going to be doing that same kind of thing here. So with the smaller holes, the bolt holes, you can do something like that. You could take the fiberglass and kind of take it apart until you got like a ball of fuzz, and then soak that into the resin, and then start packing that into the hole, and just keep going and going and going until you physically can't fit any more in there. But one of the things that you want, either that or grind the hole out bigger. Make the hole bigger so you can cut small little pieces, and then same kind of thing. You just keep adding layer on layer on layer, and then once that's completed on this side and you grind that nice and smooth, then you can go onto the back side and put you in 1 or 2 or 3 nice larger patches, right? Larger area patches behind that to kind of help reinforce that area to make it nice and strong. Now, the other thing I'm going to do with this, I'm also going to go ahead and throw an entire, probably 2 layers, I think, on the actual floor of this, just new fiberglass mat. We're going to put that, we're going to go all the way up the sides here and probably up to the front, up into here. Also, you can see the fiberglass itself is kind of starting to come off a little bit. There's some fiberglass fuzz from when I was pressure washing it. So that tells me that the actual fiberglass resin that was originally used with this is starting to deteriorate and kind of come apart. And so some of the actual fiberglass, you can actually see everywhere that there's white, that's fiberglass. That is exposed, and we don't want that. We don't need that. I'll come back and I'll put a couple layers on top of that just to make it a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier duty, and then we'll get into making the repairs on this, and then this will be done. So that's kind of like a quick overview. So as I'm going through, I might stop and kind of point out, specifics to what I'm doing, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So as I'm going along, you'll be able to see, oh, I remember him talking about that, and this is the process that he's going to be going through, and so you'll be able to see that and follow along with what I'm doing. But first things first, we got to get this thing sanded down. We got to get through the gel coat. We got to get all the way down through the paint, through the gel coat, into the actual fiberglass. We got to start from the fiberglass base, and we got to work our way back out. All right, there. We've been sanding. It's always a complete blast to sand. I mean, I guess there's something about it. It's kind of, relaxing. We did get most of the gray, greenish gray off. There's, down in here, we're going to have to do that areas by hand. And then obviously we still have the entire underneath side that we need to do. But we got her down. And we use the 80 grit. It's a little bit rough, a little bit hard, and that's okay. We'll be able to come back. We'll be coming back with probably 150 grit. Smooth it out, and then 220 before we go to paint. But we got a lot to do before we paint, and we're gonna be using 80 grit on this thing quite a bit. All these little, just kind of starting to show a little bit more. All these little cracks that we have, and these deeper gouges here. I think there's a little bit over here. We're going to be fixing all that. This is actually in pretty good condition. It's in pretty good shape. Really doesn't need a whole lot. This is the only real repair that it needs, and then we just need to kind of bring some life back into it. So this isn't going to be too bad. But I figured it'd be a good place to start with this one, kind of, build the confidence up a little bit before we just dive into that one with both feet into the lake of fire. I don't know. Let's get started on this right over here. Let's get this pulled out. Let's just get that broken off. I need to get my die grinder out here. There we go. Let me sand around here a little bit, get that kind of finished off there. All right. Okay, perfect. Okay, why don't you come down here and take a closer look at this, and I'll kind of explain to you what we're going to be doing. Okay, so you can see I went ahead and just broke that whole piece out. She's wide open. She's probably about the size of my finger. It's pretty good, but then I came in here and we sanded all this down and made it nice and smooth, so we don't have any sharp, not just on the surface. I want to leave this as jagged and beat up and broken as I can, because as we start laying in those little pieces, that's going to actually, the fibers from this are going to get sucked into the resin, and then the new fibers, and they're going to actually kind of help hold each other together. So we do want to kind of leave that. So don't get in here and grind this all out and make it a nice, smooth, perfect hole. Leave it jagged. Leave it jaggedly toothed. And then the next thing, we're going to throw some tape behind that to make a, like that. So that way, as we put in the fiberglass pieces in, they'll have something to hold it flush on the backside. The last piece, I'm going to want this last piece that I'm going to make to be at least this big. I want it to be a little bit bigger around than where I've got it sanded down to. So you can see I've got the, we're past the gel coat. We're down into the fiberglass, and that's where we want. So I actually probably sand out down into the fiberglass into a little bit bigger area here. So that last piece that I'm going to put is going to be this nice big piece that's going to come around here. I'll probably do a few pieces a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger, because you can see this is kind of tapered right in here. It's kind of feathers down. It's not just a hard, and that we're going to build this all back up. And then that last piece that goes over the top, once it's cured, we can come through and sand that, and you won't even know that thing was ever there. All right, we're back. We stopped. I went on a little bitty vacation, and now we're back. We're going to go ahead and keep going on this. Today, I'm going to take, where do I got it? I got it right here. We're going to be using a die grinder, and we're going to be using some of these 3M pads. And I do have a couple of these little sanding discs on here, and we're gonna be coming in here and we're gonna be kind of gouging into all of these little squirrel cracks. That's gonna be the best way to make the actual repair. We're gonna get underneath the gel coat and get in there. So it is gonna be kind of time consuming, but same kind of thing with like these deeper scratches here. We're gonna need to get down into the fiberglass, get those prepped. Once we have everything prepped, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin with the actual fiberglass. I'll show you. We'll cut it up, we'll mix it up, and I'll show you a couple tricks on how to put some backing behind this so we can get this filled in, ground down nice and smooth. Then we'll fill in the backside, and then we'll kind of move on from there. So let's get started. While I was mindlessly sanding for hours, I started to think about one of my favorite Bible verses, Proverbs 3, 7 and 8. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Then you have healing for your body and strength for your bones. Okay, we got it all sanded down. We've got their hole gouged out. We got this little hole next to it, and we're going to go ahead and fill that hole in as well. But see, we went and cut all the way through the paint, through the gel coat, and up to the actual fiberglass. We gave ourselves a nice, large working area here. We want the actual fiberglass to bond to fiberglass. It's kind of going back and forth between the die grinder and the sander there is because you'll come in with the die grinder and it'll cut right through the gel coat and get straight down to the fiberglass pretty quickly, but then that leaves a very uneven surface, and especially in areas as I was kind of following, trying to dig into, get to the depth of those squirrel marks to kind of really get those to go away. I found that most of them kind of disappeared into the gel coat somewhere, and that's good. That doesn't mean that the fiberglass behind them probably isn't also still cracked or fatigued in some way, but we're able to get rid of the squirrel cracks. And as you can see right here with these big scratches going through here, those are kind of gone. Those were just in the gel coat also, which is good because we're going to be able to repair all this, clean this all up, sand it down perfectly smooth, and paint it, and it's going to look good as new. So I kind of switched back and forth between the two. You know, dig into it pretty deep with this, but then come back with the sander. And I am using 80 grit on the sander. I'm using a very, very coarse sandpaper to kind of smooth it back out. So we're not having a lot of dips and valleys and chunks. And I feel like if you kind of just keep up with it as you're going along, then it's not this big, huge process that you got to go through later. Now we're going to be doing a lot of sanding. That's just kind of the fact of the matter when it comes to this. So when we go to fill this in, it's going to be proud. We're going to be going too much. We're going to be adding too many layers to this, and we're going to come back and sand this down smooth and make that disappear. Same thing with all of these holes. We're going to be making them proud and then coming back and sanding them back down to the surface that they need to be, the thickness they need to be in order to be smooth with the rest of it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's start cutting out the fiberglass for these, for this and for this, and then we're gonna get that fixed. We're gonna fix it. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so this is what we've got, and we're gonna be using to make our fiberglass repair. First and foremost, we're gonna want some gloves. You're not gonna want to get any of that fiberglass resin on your fingers because then it sticks and it hardens and it sucks. The second thing we got is an entire pack of the cheapest little brushes we can get our hands on, and we're going to need lots and lots of these because as soon as the resin hardens, these things are trash. So buy the cheapest ones you can get your hands on, and just it's a consumable. It's part of the project. It's just like a pair of gloves. The other thing that I got here is I got an entire stack of cups. These are smaller cups. I did get the Total Boat resin for lots and lots of good reviews about the Total Boat resin, and I'll be linking all of these things down below. So if you have a fiberglass project, may not be the pug, but any fiberglass project, really, you can use all of these things. These guys did come with stir sticks, which is kind of why I bought this particular ones. Also, I think I got the 25 pack. They come in 100 pack, 200 pack, whatever. I got the 25 pack. I figured there'd probably be enough, at least for now. And then fiberglass. This is actual glass. That's why it's called fiberglass. It is actual glass, like your cup and windows are made out of actual glass. It's just very, very small, thin strands of the glass that are woven together. And there's two different types. You can either have actual woven, like tight woven, like this style, or you can have the loose woven, which is just kind of, or also sometimes called chopped glass, matte. It's just they're all in all different directions. The ones that's in all different directions is actually easier to kind of lay in compound shapes, tight corners, things like that, because you can actually get the glass itself to kind of shift in that pattern. It's not tightly bound together. It's not locked into a pattern like this stuff is. So we've got our cups, we got our stir sticks, we have our cheap paint brushes. These are all critical. You have to have these. I did go ahead and buy a pair of scissors that are specifically designed for cutting fiberglass. They're big, they're heavy, they're chunky. I don't know if you can see. And they really weren't that expensive. I think they were like $25 or $30. Really not that expensive. This guy right here is going to make our life very easy. Aluminum tape. Duct tape brands, the brand that I got, aluminum tape. I picked this up at Ace Hardware. You can get that pretty much anywhere. Total Bolt did come with a couple cups, which is, awfully nice of them. We may be able to reuse them, probably not. And then we have the actual Total Bolt. The reason why I went with the Total Boat is because it comes with pumpers. And each one goes into this, and then each one of these is pre-calculated. So one pump of this, you have a perfect mixture, and then you stir it and you're ready to rock and roll. So there's none of this, 2 ounces of that, quarter ounce of this. Well, what's a quarter ounce? I don't even know what a quarter ounce is. So that makes it easy. This is the slow hardener, 5-to-1, part 2. What I've read online is it gives you about 20 minutes. Once you've added the hardener and you've gotten it properly mixed, you have about 20 minutes of working time. So let's get prepped to do the work, and then let's actually go ahead and do the work. First things first, let's get our aluminum tape here. And this is what we're actually going to be using as a backer to fill that hole. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just take a nice little chunk like this. The nice thing about this aluminum tape is you get the little backer off of there. It's so thin and it's easy to peel off later. So you don't have to worry about, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick it right behind that hole. We're going to press it in nice and firm. We're going to cover this bolt hole over here too. And there we go. We're going to be putting the fiberglass directly onto that. Once we're done, we can peel the tape off the back. If any of the tape sticks to the fiberglass, no big deal. You can scrape it off, a little bit of sandpaper, it disappears. It's just a nice thin piece of aluminum, no big deal. Now that we have the basic size, I will be cutting out a bunch of these. Now I want to use this side. We have this side over here, we have the tails, and that's not bad if it starts to kind of come unwound a little bit and you have some tails. That's going to actually help it to really kind of actually feather out a lot nicer. Okay, so rather than keeping it all nice and tight and keeping these little end pieces here all super, super tight, along the edges, I'm actually letting a few of those kind of fall out, and that leaves these little frayed bits. That's going to help smooth it out in the long run and make it a lot easier to kind of blend it. But so this is going to be our big patch. That's going to go on last, and that's going to really just completely cover over the entire area. We have 3 or 4 small patches, and then we have a couple medium-sized patches. I'm calling them patches. I don't know. There's probably a technical name for these. I don't know. We're not going to be making a whole lot. Let's go ahead and because we're just going to be doing this one small spot for right now. So let's go ahead and get 2-inch brush ready. Let's get a stir stick ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pumps. Okay. And then we mix. First thing I want to do is I'm going to start with wetting down the area. Now, when using the brush, you want to use kind of more of a dabbing type motion. Okay, so we're going to start out with the smaller pieces. We're going to stick a smaller piece in. Go ahead and dab it in there. Dab some resin in there. We're going to grab another small piece. We're going to pack it down into the hole. We got the little flaky fiber bits kind of going everywhere. That's perfect. We want that. Okay, we're going to grab another small piece. We're going to stick it right in that hole. And we're just going to keep adding more fiberglass resin to it. All right, let's grab another small piece. We're going to stick it right in there. And then we're going to add fiberglass resin to the top of it. Dab it in there. We're going to take another small piece. Stick it in there. Dab it in there. Just keep adding. Just keep on adding. Layer upon layer upon layer. Okay, let's go with a little bit bigger piece. Oh, we lost that one. All right, so with another little bit bigger piece. Let's go ahead and add that guy right in there. Completely covered in resin, top to bottom, inside and out. We're going to take our nice big piece right here. It's going to go over the top and completely cover the entire area. We don't want to cover that hole yet because we have not made patches for that one yet. But let's get some resin. We're going to go ahead and we're going to spread this guy out nice and evenly all around. Okay. I'm going to take some of this resin. I'm going to work it into some of these little smaller pinhole, and I'm calling them squirrel cracks, squirrel marks, into these areas. The fiberglass resin will actually create a layer of thickness to some of this, and so it's not right? And with these, we don't need to like build up an entire area. We don't need to fill in an entire hole. So we're able to get in here and really get these squirrel marks kind of filled in. We're also just kind of rehydrating that old fiberglass resin, bringing it back around. Now, when you get done with this, if it's not perfectly smooth, that's okay. We're going to be sanding all of this down. So like I said, you want to build it up higher than it probably needs to be. So when you sand it down and take it back to where it should be, then you're good. You want it to be a little overkill, a little bit on the too much side than the not enough side. Okay. So there's that there. Now, same concept for like over here. See how these holes have been just completely just ripped and blown out? That's fine. We're going to completely patch those up. Same process. Take the aluminum tape. We're going to stick it across the back. We're going to take we're going to make some peanut butter. That's what I'm going to call it. It's probably not the right name, but we're going to make some peanut butter. And then we're going to fill all of these in with peanut butter. And then we're going to put a patch over the top, all the way across the top of this, probably one big patch across the top. Once it's cured, then we can go ahead and we can trim that off and put a nice big patch on the inside of it. Let that cure. Done. Now those holes are completely, then we'll sand it down nice, perfectly smooth, and we'll be ready to drill brand new holes in this thing. We're ready to put it back together. So not very difficult, fairly simple actually process. Don't let it don't get daunted by fiberglass. It's really very simple. We just filled in that hole. And when it comes to that guy, it's going to be the exact same thing. We're going to be filling in the holes, and we're going to be doing it like this. So you got this. You got this. I have faith in you. Okay, so it's been a few hours, and we can see right here, she's a little bit runny. I probably didn't get the mixture right. Being the first few pumps, but that's okay. All of this will sand right out and this will all disappear. It's still a little bit tacky, but that sucker is nice and hard. And on the inside, I did use the last little bit of the resin there, and I painted just this little small area here so you can see how we were able to take this, because this is the original fiberglass here, and you can see where everything is white, and that's actual fiberglass, the actual fiberglass particles itself that's actually come to the surface. The resin itself has kind of worn away, degraded over the years, and it's just the resin is basically missing. Now I'm going to leave that like this because I do want to put a couple layers of fiberglass on top of this, just a couple sheets on top of this, and resin that in, and having all of these little fuzzies that are kind of sticking out is really going to help bond the two together well. But up here, I'm not going to be doing that. This is, as long as you're not running into trees, you should be fine. But I did take that leftover little bit of resin, and you can see how just putting some fresh resin over all this just really made it just look like brand new, basically. You can see, you know, before and after. So a lot of times when you have old fiberglass, just coming over the back side of it like this with some fresh resin will really bring actually a lot of rigidity and some thickness back into the fiberglass, and it'll increase the strength quite a bit. Now I did want to show you real quick here. This is the metal tape that we put on the back that we used for a backer right here for that hole that we're filling in. And look, it just peels right off. You can see some of the fibers kind of stuck into it, but look, it is peeled right off, and that is patched up. Now what we'll do is on this side of this, we'll put a nice big patch over this entire area, and we'll glass that in, and that hole is fixed. So simple, easy repair. This patch on the outside, you can obviously see is kind of sticking out a little bit. That's okay. We're gonna sand this all down, and it's gonna look perfectly smooth once we're finished sanding that. And we paint it, you'll never know that that hole is ever there. We'll be able to re-drill that for the windshield mount to go right in there, and that's gonna be locked in there. It's gonna be nice and solid. Okay, so I kind of revised the plan a little bit. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and throw the fiberglass mat down here on on the floor of it, and I'm going to let it kind of overhang a little bit, and then that's actually going to act as our patch on the back here and give us something that we can add the peanut butter to on the other side, and then we can sandwich and sand that down just to make it easier. I think if you're just doing just a hole, then I would just do it the way we showed you, but we're going to be doing this whole area, so I'm just going to use the couple layers of fiberglass mat to be our, our backer, and then we can trim it and sand it all down. You'll never know. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. We're going to mix up some resin, and then hopefully today I'm going to mix it up right so it doesn't take 49 and a half years to harden, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so I went ahead and cut a little dude and just inside patch for this guy, slap that on there once I got this all coated in there. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that the fiberglass mat itself turns clear. You want to be able to see through it. That way you know it's completely saturated with resin. If you have any light spots or white spots, that's not good. This is just a reflection. That's not a white spot, that's just reflection. You can see we got it nice and she's all resined in there. So just got to crank up the old fireplace and keep it nice and warm in here for as long as possible. And we're going to come back tomorrow and then we can go ahead and trim it up and she should be, fingers crossed, good to go. We got all the inside, as you can see. Really clean that up, make it look nice and fresh on the inside. It really looks like brand new fiberglass, and having this extra couple layers on here. This is the thickest stuff I could get. I think it's 7 or 9 mil. I don't know, whatever. It's numbers. So, and then we just have a couple little chips here. There's like a little chip down here and one right here. And we're just gonna kind of clean those up a little bit. We'll get this sanded down nice. Fill in all these little squirrel cracks here, and you should be ready for paint. All right, so I think that's going to do it for tonight. We have a couple little things we're going to touch up on this, and I'll probably do just a quick little blurb in the next video about getting this finished up. But we are going to be jumping on the big, nasty fiberglass repairs. This is more or less just reconditioning and small patches, and so this video is kind of about just fixing smaller fiberglass things. The next video we're going to go over how to reconstruct fiberglass. We got chunks missing, just how do we make it look like it's supposed to look, and put it back together so it looks kind of like what it's supposed to be. Like I said, this is my first real experience with any actual fiberglass. I've done little things here and there and putting fiberglass over stuff before, but it's just been, kind of just winging it, and it is what it is. And I actually did a little bit, like 5 minutes worth of research on this to figure out how do you actually fix fiberglass. And so I'm just kind of showing you the process and making it as easy as I can for you. So whether you're watching the series and you're interested in watching the pug being rebuilt, or maybe you're just a guy that's just like, hey, I need to fix fiberglass. How do I fix fiberglass? And you're just watching this video for that, then that's what this is kind of for. It's kind of more of like a step-by-step. I kind of want to show, it's probably a little long and boring for some of you guys, but I really want to show the step-by-step process to go through, and how do you How do you fill a hole in a piece of fiberglass? How do you repair, reconstruct pieces of fiberglass that are missing? And that's what this is kind of for, as well as, you know, obviously getting the project, trying to get it finished. So one thing I did want to say, I just want to appreciate, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate each and every one of you watching these videos. A couple videos back, I forgot to mention last video, there's a feller from Dunkirk that is watching the videos, and I just want to say hi from Arizona. So thanks guys, and it's pretty exciting every once in a while to kind of rifle through there and see the comments and see somebody from somewhere around the world. So don't be shy, jump in there, say hi, tell me where you're from. It's pretty interesting to me to see how far and wide my videos are going. So also, real quick, just like I said, probably 12 times in this video already, I'm going to put a link, Amazon affiliate links down below for all the different things that I'm using in this project. So if you have a fiberglass project, it'll at least, maybe you're not going to get the exact things that I got. The total boat is a little pricey, but I've heard really, really good things about it, and I'm going to give it a shot. And then in the next video, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it's doing, and it's obviously probably a little cold here for fiberglass resin to be curing, but we're gonna see how it works. So yeah, I'm gonna put a link to everything down below so you can get things for your fiberglass project. You know, and for those of you that have purchased things off the Amazon affiliate, I appreciate it a lot. Made a total of $1.30. So thank you. Keep using the affiliate links. It's you know, it's hey, a couple bucks. So yeah, next weekend we're gonna get jumping on the other fiberglass, hopefully, Lord willing, and we're gonna get that going. Once the fiberglass is repaired, we're gonna make a few, you know, change out a couple of the ball joints, fix the steering horn, get a couple isolator mounts, get then we're gonna be fixing the rear axle. Yep, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix the carrier. We do have a secondary option that we're gonna be doing in the future, to be upgrading it to a more modern, robust drivetrain. But for now, we're just going to be fixing the carrier and we're putting it back together. So if any of you out there do have a Pug and you are looking for the old Haxco original axle and transaxle, drop it down in the comments below. And when I get mine upgraded, I'd be more than willing to sell these to you. So yeah, drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.